Hello everyone, welcome back to How Will It End? Today, we're going back to 2015 to explain a sci-fi/thriller movie titled Project Almanac. Watch out for spoilers ahead. The movie opens up with a high school senior, David Raskin, testing an experiment with his friends Adam Lee and Quinn Goldberg while David's sister Christina is filming the whole thing. The video is for a scholarship application to MIT University. David shows off his self-made drone that he can control with a material placed on his fingers. David then tries to fly the drone outside in the open sky. As the drone is high up in the sky, David suddenly gets a call which jams the signal on Quinn's laptop. As a result, the drone plummets to the ground and crashes. Despite the setback, David concludes the recording by considering it as a successful demonstration. A few weeks later, David gets an envelope from MIT. He becomes very happy after receiving it and gathers around his loved ones. David gets into MIT, but he only receives $5,000 instead of the proposed $45,000. He gets sad knowing that his mother will have a hard time paying the rest of the tuition fee. At school, we get to know that David has a crush on a girl named Jessie Pierce. Back home, David and Christina discover that Kathy is trying to sell the house to pay his tuition fee. David tries to convince her to not sell it, but she replies that if his father was alive, he would do the same. Confused, David starts searching through the attic. Christina also joins him and they find a videotape of David's 7th birthday party. It was the last day the two saw their dad, Ben, before he passed away in a car crash. The two look at the video, connecting the camera with their laptop. While watching the video, David notices something strange. He finds himself in his current age, physically visible in the video. He calls Adam and Quinn to his house and shows them the video. At first, they enjoy the video remembering their childhood, but later when David shows them about his presence, both of them are stunned. David is so obsessed over the video that he watches it on loop, even at his college. He then notices details like he has a blue stain on his shirt, and that he's holding keys with a ballerina figure keychain. He tries to find the keychain in his bag but realizes that he is actually holding Jessie's bag. He immediately approaches her but has a hard time striking a conversation. Despite this, he manages to return the bag and she congratulates him on getting into MIT. In the next scene, the group heads to David's house basement and breaks into his father's research lab which has been locked after his death. There, they discover a hidden hatch in the floor containing blueprints for a temporal relocation device, aka the time machine. The boys become enthralled after reading about the device and decide to try and rebuild it all over again. After that, they begin gathering the materials required to construct it. We all know how this is going to end. Once everything is collected, they head back to the basement and arrange them together. However, the battery explodes when there is a shortage of power in the system. After a few failed tests, they realize that they will be requiring hydrogen to fuel the system. With no permit to buy it, they plan to steal hydrogen canisters from school. With Christina filming every move, they manage to sneak into their school lab and take out the hydrogen canisters. Using the hydrogen, they finally activate the device. The objects in the basement start to levitate, but the batteries again short-circuit as the load is too much for them. At the same time, there's a party nearby David's house. While the group is brainstorming ideas for a powerful battery source, David notices Jessie arriving in her car. He quickly approaches her and suggests she park the car in his driveway. Turns out that he's doing this so he can use Jessie's car battery to power their experiment. David is a savage. As soon as Jessie leaves for the party, the group connects their cables to the car battery. Their first experiment is sending Christina's red toy to time travel. They power the machine and due to the electromagnetic field generated, every metal around starts floating. When Jessie discovers what they're doing to her car, she walks in and is shocked to see everything around. The room begins to shake, and soon the entire area loses electricity. When the lights come back on, the group notices that the toy car has traveled through time and is welded to the wall. They look at the GoPro that they attached to the car and see that it was already sitting there recording them as they set up the machine. After the incident, Jessie gets curious and inquires about what David and others are doing. David is compelled to tell her everything and lets her join the gang. Later, he also shows her a video of his birthday, explaining to her what they're capable of. They meet together in the neighborhood that night and attempt to travel back in time to the previous night. This time, they succeed in doing so. For a brief moment, the gang is confused and have no idea how to differentiate the time. They immediately dash to Quinn's house, where Quinn had been resting the night before. Quinn doodles a smiling face on the back of his other self. Suddenly, Quinn turns over and sees his future self. When the same two people see each other at the same place, It triggers a temporal glitch, and the two start to vanish. Seeing this, the gang rushes out, then leaps with joy as they realize they've successfully time traveled. When they return to the spot where they gathered for the experiment, they come upon a dog. As they drive around the streets, they discover a bunch of lost dog flyers that weren't there before. They realize that it is the same dog they have and deliver it to its owner. In the next scene, the gang begins to consider the potential of their newfound power and decides to put it to personal use as long as they all time jump together at the same moment. Quinn utilizes it to ace his chemistry exam until he answers each question asked by his chemistry teacher. After that, Christina uses it to take revenge on her college bully, Sarah. Adam has the gang time travel so they can check out the lottery tickets. However, he only got 5 out of the 6 numbers right, and after taxes, they only make $1.8 million. Quinn still uses the money to buy himself a cool car and to bring a line of food trucks to the school. At home, Kathy ends up getting a new job, much to the delight of David and Christina. One day, David gets the gang out of an ongoing class to gather under a bridge. They then travel 3 months back and attend the famous Lollapalooza concert. Time traveling done right. There, they see their favorite bands perform and even acquire VIP passes to go backstage and hang out with the band. The gang is having a great time. They spend the entire day on the water slides and party. Slowly, Christina and Adam start liking each other. Before the day is done, David walks up to Jesse, who is looking at the wall that says "Before the world ends," and lists a variety of things one should do before they die. Jesse gives David major indications, such as the phrase, "Before the world dies, I want to fall in love." But David misses his opportunity to make a move, and they return to the present. When David gets home, he watches the Lollapalooza videotape and discovers that Jesse was actually dropping clues that she loves him. Frustrated with his failure, David jumps back alone to Lollapalooza and makes his move on Jessie. He kisses her and expresses his love for her before returning to the present. After he returns to his room, he tries to call Jessie to find out if his move was successful. He calls her only to find her phone ringing on his desk. To his surprise, Jessie emerges from the bathroom wearing only a towel. It turns out that after David's move, they are now a couple and are living together. David asks her if they made love and she says yes. "My man finally did it." In the next scene, David notices some strange things at school. The basketball captain, Justin, has a broken leg. Even the ever-confident bully Sarah is seen cry. Also, there's a banner hung up that reads "Titans basketball, better luck next year." After school, David learns from Adam and Quinn that there was a plane crash that killed 77 people, including Sarah's dad, who was the pilot. The boys think that their time traveling is responsible for this, as well as the basketball team losing the championship. At home, David does a recheck on all the accidents that happened recently. He then decides to go and stop the accidents, starting with Justin's broken leg. Late at night, David calls his group for an urgent meeting. Before everyone reaches there, David calls Adam aside and reveals that he time traveled alone. Despite Adam's warnings to not do it again, David returns to the night of the party alone. Wasting no time, he jumps into the street and rescues Justin from an incoming car. Witnessing his heroics, everyone around starts applauding him. When David returns to the present, he notices that the squad has not only won the title, but also that the plane has landed safely. However, following an incident after the basketball game, Adam winds up in the hospital. He goes to see Adam, but has no idea about how he ended up there. Later, David dashes home and tries to find out how to keep Adam safe. When he is setting up the machine, Jessie suddenly enters the basement. This causes both of them to travel back together, and David is compelled to reveal that he went back alone to make his move on her. Hearing this, Jessie becomes upset. However, she reveals that she has liked David since the first time she saw him and that she wishes she could use the machine to meet him sooner. Meanwhile, Jessie's former self appears, and when they see each other, her appearance starts glitching and she vanishes entirely, leaving just her vehicle keys. It is the same key with the ballerina keychain. Seeing no other option, David chooses to travel back in time to his 7th birthday in order to destroy the machine before it can ever exist. After Jessie goes missing, Quinn returns to his house. David informs him of the issue and apologizes for his error. When the police arrive at David's house, they accuse him of being involved in Jessie's kidnapping. At the same time, he tries to use the machine to go back in time and to settle the issues, but the hydrogen in their possession finishes. David flees his house and dashes to the school, where he steals another hydrogen canister. The cops also arrive, and as they are about to shoot him, He refuels the machine and travels to his 7th birthday. David travels 10 years back in time and returns home. In the mirror, he sees himself, just like he had seen in the video. He follows his father to the basement, where they confront one another. Ben sees his son and understands he is the one who got the device to operate. David reminds him that there are no do-overs and that they must put an end to this. As they are talking, Ben gets an emergency call and departs after hugging his son. Soon after, David collects and destroys all of the time machine's components so that it cannot be rebuilt again. The scene then shifts to the present where David has returned home and is searching the attic with Christina. They discover their father's video camera, but this time, it doesn't have any unusual videos. This implies that after the time machine was destroyed, all their time travel events were erased. In the last scene, David is at school and notices that he has Jessie's bag. This time, he walks over to her with more confidence, and he recounts what Jessie said to him the first time they spoke. When she questions how he knew what she was about to say, David replies, "This is going to sound insane, but I think we're about to change the world." Make sure to comment below which part of the video you loved the most, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.